Imagine a quiet town where seasons turn gently, where days fall into a comforting rhythm and the world seems to move along, unchanged. In this town lived a young person named Elliot, a teenager hovering at the edge of possibility, burdened by the quiet weight of expectation, family, school, peers, even their own silent hopes. In a world that celebrated quick results and outward achievement, Elliot often felt invisible, like the roots of a tree twisting in darkness, their purpose unseen. It was spring when Elliot's grandmother invited them to help plant a set of bamboo seeds in her garden. Elliot agreed, more out of politeness than enthusiasm, remembering the lush bamboo groves from childhood stories but knowing little about how they came to grow. Together, they knelt in the cool, earthy soil, pushing the tiny seeds into the ground. The task seemed almost pointless. Such small seeds, such plain earth. Grandmother smiled, her hands weathered from years of tending, and said softly, "You must water them every week. Don't forget. And don't be discouraged, even if nothing happens for a while." So Elliot watered the seeds, at first with careful diligence, expecting to find the green shoots pushing up after a few weeks, perhaps a month. Meanwhile, school continued. Tests to study for, friendships to navigate, the swirling uncertainties of adolescence. Elliot sometimes compared their own journey to that of the other teens, those who found instant success, who seemed to grow overnight, while Elliot wondered if their own progress was hidden or non-existent, much like the invisible bamboo seeds. As summer arrived, Elliot's curiosity about the bamboo became tinged with frustration. They knelt by the patch of bare earth, searching for even the faintest hint of green. Nothing. Day after day, Elliot watered the soil. When friends asked why Elliot bothered with a patch of dirt, Elliot shrugged off the question, embarrassment curling at the edges of their words. It was easier to laugh and pretend it didn't matter, even as doubt grew. At home, Elliot's restlessness showed in other ways. They took up drawing, only to set the sketchbook aside after a few days. They joined a sports team, but faded quietly into the background. With every failed attempt, Elliot's sense of stagnation grew, quietly, like the roots of a plant threading unseen beneath the surface. And still, the bamboo did not sprout. Autumn painted the town in gold and russet. Elliot kept their promise to their grandmother, though with little hope. Sometimes after school, Elliot sat with her in the cool shade, asking, "Why isn't it growing? Did I do something wrong?" Grandmother would only smile. "Patience. Sometimes miracles happen in the dark, where eyes can't see." Winter settled in, and Elliot's world felt smaller than ever. A season of waiting, not just for seeds, but for purpose, direction, and some sign that all their quiet effort was not wasted. The soil remained unchanged, and yet Elliot continued watering, a small act of faith woven into their daily routine. Then, one crisp morning in late spring, almost a year to the day since the seeds were planted, Elliot trudged out to the garden. For the first time, there were shoots, vivid green, pushing up from the once barren soil, not just a timid sprout, but a cluster of sturdy stems, each reaching higher than the last, stretching toward the sun as if they'd been waiting all along for this moment. Astonished, Elliot called for their grandmother. She came outside with a knowing smile, and together they watched the bamboo as it seemed to grow by inches every day. For weeks, Elliot marveled at this transformation. Once invisible, the bamboo now soared skyward, strong and swift, growing faster in those few weeks than most plants grow in years. "How did it happen so quickly?" Elliot asked. Grandmother's answer was gentle but profound. For a whole year, the bamboo was growing roots, deep, strong roots beneath the surface. All that time you saw nothing, it was preparing for this moment. Without those roots, the bamboo couldn't stand tall. In the weeks that followed, Elliot reflected on the quiet work of the bamboo, recognizing echoes of their own journey. Only the surface had seemed stagnant. Underneath, in ways invisible to all, they had been laying their own roots. the persistence to keep trying despite setbacks, the quiet determination to keep promises, and the ability to seek meaning when progress seemed invisible, all were foundations for later growth. As summer passed, Elliot found that things began to change, not suddenly, but with a new sense of purpose. They picked up drawing again, but this time staying patient with each attempt, not expecting perfection overnight. On the sports team, they started asking for help, working quietly at first, until improvement revealed itself. They opened themselves to new friendships, abandoned the need to match others' timing, and flourished in their own way. There was a newfound ease in Elliot's approach to challenges, a quiet confidence rooted in understanding that the most important transformations often happen unseen. The world might measure growth in quick, visible achievements, but Elliot now knew the truth. The strongest change takes root in patience, resilience, and invisible effort. Seasons turned, and the bamboo grove flourished, a living testament in their grandmother's garden. Visitors marveled at the soaring stalks, but only Elliot and grandmother understood the story hidden beneath, the long unseen year that made such growth possible. And so, Elliot carried the lesson forward, through high school, into adulthood, and beyond. An enduring reminder every time life required patience, every time the journey felt stagnant or invisible. Growth is not always a spectacle. Sometimes, the most profound progress happens under the surface, in places no one can see. Whenever Elliot found themselves growing restless or discouraged, they remembered the bamboo, the quiet year beneath the ground, the hidden work that made all later flourishing possible. With every new challenge, they found strength in that story, trusting the process and nurturing faith in the roots they were building, even if no one else could see the transformation yet. Because true growth, the kind that lasts, begins where no one is looking, deep beneath the surface, in the patient tending of hope. And when the time is right, that silent promise bursts forth, changing everything beyond what anyone could have imagined. Thank you for watching this episode of Mind Awakening TV. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an awakening moment. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and let's continue the conversation. Stay curious, and keep expanding your mind.